federal diversity, equity, and inclusion staff members are preparing to lose their jobs. Yesterday, President Trump's administration moved to end affirmative action in federal contracting and directed that all federal DEI workers be put on paid leave and eventually be laid off. The moves follow an executive order that President Trump signed on his first day, ordering a sweeping dismantling of the federal government's diversity and inclusion programs. Trump has called the programs discrimination and insisted on restoring strictly merit-based hiring. Joining us now, Chief Legal Analyst Kali Frodes. Okay, so obviously some sweeping moves. If we know one thing about President Trump, he is true to his word. But what does this mean for those workers who are on paid leave now and set to lose their jobs?
If this is a step into making America great again, those folks that are American citizens today are going to find out that they're going on paid leave, ultimately losing their job. If you're a contractor contracting with the federal government that offered a diversity and inclusion program, it says it in the order. Guess what? Your contract is cut. Now you no longer have a job. Your staff no longer have a job. So this is going to be thousands of people that work for the government, that are Americans, that are going to be unemployed. So when we talk about cutting $500 billion from the budget, and people are trying to figure out, well, how are they going to do this? Where's it going to be? Well, this is one place. Let's just go ahead and get rid of this diversity stuff because we don't need it. It doesn't make sense, and we don't need it because it's discriminatory, it's exclusion, it's not inclusion. We don't want this, and we don't need it, and let's go ahead and chop it on the second day in office. But you gotta, if you don't remember history and don't recognize what got us here, then it's easy to get rid of things like this. Look back to Lyndon Johnson. He signed the executive order in 1965. Why? Because we had a number of civil rights issues that were happening in the country. There was a push to understand that we needed to have a diverse work base that reflected what our country and our community looked like. And so he pushed forward these efforts, and Trump today is signing away, I should say yesterday, signing away all of those years, 1965 to today, signing away those years just in the swipe of a pen.
All right, guys, we got to talk about more liberal meltdowns, okay? Because they've been boohoo, whining, crying for the last 3 days. And my guess is that they will be boohoo, whining, crying for the next 4 years.
Okay. So today I was supposed to be leading a training about environmental justice for a national agency, but it was canceled an hour before it started. Why? Well, because the new federal guidelines from the Trump administration ban not only DEI training.
Federal justice? I'm sorry. That's all wrong. That's all wrong. Environmental justice? That doesn't even make sense to me. Environmental justice. Does that fall along the same lines of social justice? How are you going to justify the environment? How are you going to justify being social or socialism or just sound weird to me. Environmental justice. It's weird.
But also any trainings or programs about environmental justice. And they're not stopping there. These policies go further, rolling back protections for our water, land, opening the floodgates to drilling, silencing those that are fighting for justice in any form. And to make matters worse, they're demanding a list of contractors like me who provide DEI and environmental justice trainings. And to be honest, it's terrifying.
Okay, this is how you know that this country is being made great again. Okay, when you have liberals and progressives and race hustlers boohoo, whining, crying on a day-to-day basis, yeah, that means that things are getting done, right? Shit is getting done, okay? And Trump has done a lot, okay, over the last 2 to 3 days. What I want to talk about here today is Trump signing executive orders to rid DEI out of the government. And a part of this agenda is rolling back a somewhat controversial executive order that was established under Lyndon B. Johnson, affirmative action when it comes to federal hiring, okay, hiring federal contractors. Trump says, no, we're no longer going to play the affirmative action game, okay? The Supreme Court, as you guys remember, they recently overturned, they got rid of affirmative action. Now the federal government is following suit when it comes to hiring practices. And liberals, again, they're boohoo, whining, and crying about something that's honestly probably not gonna change.
And so I think a lot of people that when they hear that they're rolling back affirmative action initiatives, they automatically think black folks. No. Affirmative action overwhelmingly was an advantage to white women. You just can look, if you in your workplace, it was overly advantageous to white women. So just keep those things in mind. Don't sit here and when you hear affirmative action, it automatically triggers your black, racial, whatever the case may be. We have no more rights because they rolled back and got rid of affirmative action. No. That's not the case.
Change that much, okay? What the federal government did, what Trump did in executive order, is essentially he said, listen, when it comes to companies that are working with the federal government, okay, federal contractors, we're no longer requiring that you adhere to racial quotas, okay? So the government was basically saying, look, if you want to work with us, you got to make sure that you're woke, right? That you are addressing any type of racial, gender, or sexual disparities within the workplace. You have to live up to our racial, gender, sexuality, equity standards, right? This is essentially what it was, okay? Not only encouraging, again, affirmative action when it comes to federal government hiring, but also when it comes to federal contractors and who they choose to hire, okay? So Trump's executive order is not just meant to rid the government of DEI, but to ultimately rid the country, the culture of the DEI mentality, okay? This mentality that, hey, we should be putting people in positions of power based off their identity, okay? Race, gender, sexuality, etc. Okay, it essentially goes out to private companies as well too, and also it addresses higher education because they receive federal dollars from the federal government in the form of student loans. They're also trying to address that. So Trump's executive order is a broad, sweeping executive order that currently has the left boohoo whining and crying about white supremacy. This is a white supremacist plot, according to the black Democrats and the black bourgeoisie. Take a look.
Listen, we know what they're doing. We saw this movie before. They want to throw so many things at.
You got two of the biggest race baiter boule people that you can have in this turtle in Roland Martin and this ghetto queen in Jasmine Crockett. Oh Lord, this should be rich what they are gonna say.
At one time and have people just scatterbrain, disillusioned, but I'm not falling for the okie doke. What this is about, Congresswoman, is they want to attack the money source. They do not want to see black advancement. They want to go after the money, and they're not satisfied with white women getting 78% of the federal NWBE contracts. They want 100%. And those white women are silent. And so folk need to understand, and frankly, Democrats need to understand they got to be a hell of a lot more aggressive in understanding the game being played here.
Yeah, so for me, it is overwhelming for so many people. He operates in chaos and only chaos and confusion. And he consistently hides some of the really big things in the chaos, right? So I appreciate that you're talking about the executive order.
This lady is a lawmaker. She's a politician. What is up with these eyelashes? Why? And this one right here, maybe it's her eyelid. This one look like it's about to fall off. This is not a good representation of people that's supposed to be leading this country. But let's continue listening to this babble.
As it relates to civil rights. And so I think it is important for people to understand that Republicans and Democrats alike, including Donald Trump, consistently sign.
I can't even listen to what she's saying because all I'm seeing is her blink. Maybe that's just me. I'm trying to listen to what she's saying. I know it's a bunch of babble, but ugh.
Signed off on this EO, and this time he decided that he was going to rescind it, right? And so when people are like, oh, well, what is it about immigration? And oh, what is this DEI thing? And oh, what is this going on over here? Here's the reality. It is all rooted in white supremacy. And that's what people need to understand. The white supremacy agenda is alive and well, and every single one of these attacks, they are rooted in white supremacy. So unless you
All
are
of it,
a white man, I don't really know what place you have in this agenda that we see coming out. And by keeping us divided, by having those that understand the importance of affirmative action, those that understand the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion over here fighting this fight, and then those that are so concerned about their family members and whether or not they're going to be deported, they're over here in this other fight. Instead of uniting us, we need to understand that it's not an attack on just one group. It's an attack on all of us, and it is all rooted in white supremacy. Even this random whitewashing of Jesus and this narrative around Christianity, it is the white supremacist narrative of Christianity, the same one that kept black folk enslaved.
Wow. Incredible stuff. Guys, that is an elected congresswoman, okay? This woman represents a group of people out in Texas. We're definitely not sending our best, okay? We're not sending our best. Could you imagine if a white person had said the things that Jasmine Crotchet just said right on Roland Martin show, okay? The day that white people are able to say things like that and get away with it, that is the day we will have true equality, right? But until then, it seems as if we won't, because these people are going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that we do not achieve true equality, right? Because ultimately, this is what it's about. It's not necessary anymore, okay? Affirmative action is not necessary. None of this stuff is necessary. At the end of the day, federal contracts should go to the most qualified, the best people who can do the job. They're probably giving out too many of them anyways, right? A lot of it is bloated in order to try to pump up Biden's job numbers and the fake economy. A lot of stuff has to go, okay?
It's just like with anything that they propose, they always go too far. It's like with affirmative action, it was supposedly to basically give minorities an equal chance as white people, right? So to even buy into that, one would have to think and maybe feel that white people were superior. I don't think white people are superior. They're human just like the rest of us. So to even go into that particular mindset and then to even pass a law to say you must hire this many of inferior people, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever the case may be, that whole mindset just doesn't make sense to me as far as that go. Now, and if you think that someone is superior to you, well, you're losing in the first place. If you even think that way. When you say white supremacy, that means you automatically think white people are superior over you. Why would you even think that? They're human like you, the same. You can do the same things that they can do, if not better. Because you supposedly went through so much more than they have. And so that should make you stronger. That should make you be able to overcome certain obstacles. When they say this silly thing, you got to work twice as hard as a black person to get half the results and all this type of stuff. Well, that just results from, it may be true, but here's why it might be true. Is because if you look at all of the groups, different groups, racial wise, they all work together. Black folks, we don't work together. We're just a bunch of individuals out here just trying to do these things. So as a white person that goes to a bank and get a loan, they probably know 2 to 10 people in that bank. Yeah, we gonna give you the loan. And now you tell me if the situation was with a black person or any other group, the same thing wouldn't happen, because it's a part of their network. And the network is y'all working together. So these things stem not just what you see on the surface. And it's very easy. Just start to trust one another. Have a goal in mind, and then let's just go do this.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, the best should survive, and everybody should have to compete, and there should not be any type of special treatment based off race, sex, gender, whatever. And you can spare me your stupid history lesson about, oh, we gotta do this because black people was discriminated against. It is necessary because of years of white supremacy and slavery and all. I don't care, right? I don't care. I do not care. I'm gonna tell you something. The only thing these progressives have, okay, to justify this type of stuff, discrimination, right? Racial discrimination, redistribution of wealth, socialism. The only thing they have is, well, we was treated bad historically, right? That's the only thing they have. They don't have anything else outside of that. So again, spare me the sad sob story. It's not necessary. In 2025, we have to move past this, okay? At one point in time, affirmative action may have been necessary, but today it's not, okay? You either want equality, equal treatment, right? Or you don't. But these people are showing you every single day, no, we don't want that, right? What we actually mean when we talk about equity, okay, what we actually mean when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion is, yeah, less white, right? Less white. We want to be able to discriminate against white people because we feel as if we should be allowed to take power and control due to the fact that we were historically done wrong, right? This is the argument. This is what it boils down to. Well, we were hurt in the past, so therefore we should be able to hurt these people back. And if you disagree with it, as a black person, you're a sellout, right? And if you disagree with it as a white person, then you are a racist, okay? That's essentially what it comes down to.
That's what it is.
So that being said, let's react to the cackling hands on The View, who are going to boo-hoo, whine, and cry racism over this. But there's a twist, because one of the panelists on The View is going to go off script and call out DEI for the scam that it is. And that's when a heated debate is going to break out. So without further ado, let's get into it.
An order, the Equal Opportunity Order signed by Lyndon Johnson in 1965. So not only are we now going back 4 years.
He can sue Lyndon Johnson, maybe.
Well, we're not only, he's not taking us back 4 years.
Yeah.
He's taking us back to 1965,
Right.
before it was legal for there to be interracial marriage
That's
in
why
this
it's so-
country.
that's why it's so broad.
Look, I would love to think, and I hope that we get there one day. I would love to think that there is no racism by the people who do hirings in the government and in corporations in America. But that is not the case. I would love to think that
I just get so sick and tired of all the conversation is based about racism, because at the end of the day, it means absolutely nothing. You did not choose to come out white, black, Indian. I can see if you made a conscious decision to just, the melanin or the lack of melanin in your skin, and then you're just a bad person. It's exhausting. It's tiring, because it really means nothing at all. It's just something that Democrats constantly use to keep people divided. Why does it have to be a side? Why, to insinuate there's a good side and a bad side, when the majority of people in this country, there's no sides. The majority of people in this country just want to do what makes sense. They just want to live their lives. Not worrying about race. Most people not worried about race. I don't care where you at. But most people are provincial, which is you come into our community messing with our people. Your race doesn't matter, but messing with our people, well, you're gonna have problems, and race has nothing to do with that. If you are a person that goes into a mostly white community messing with their people and you're not white, that's really, it's not a racial thing. It's, you're interrupting the sanctity of their community. It's not about race. But if you go and look on the media, they turns it into race, and then people think it's about race when race just, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
That there is no homophobia, but that is not the case. And I think that by getting rid of this and doing it in such a bold way on day one, what he is doing is giving a green light to people who are racist, to people who are homophobic, to people who are anti-women and think they should be in the kitchen, and telling them there is no consequence to your racism.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about these race hustlers and what they won't tell you is that the boohoo, whine, and crime racism, homophobia, bigotry is never going to end, because that's their source of power and control, right? So when Ana Navarro comes out here and talks about, well, I would like to live in a world where there's no homophobia and racism and sexism, but we're not living in that world. And it's like, well, the reason why we're not living in that world is because people like you go out of your way to make sure that those things continue to exist and to focus on these things, because that is how you maintain power and control, right? That's how you maintain power and control. So what they're really upset about when it comes to this executive order is that it is a loss of power for them, right? All of this stuff is a power struggle. This is people who see themselves in an internal struggle for power with the so-called white patriarchal society, right? They see white men as the top of the food chain, and they say, you know what? We have to take power from them, not for the betterment of the country as a whole, because it's not about that, right? If it was about the country, they would have no issues with meritocracy. So again, it's not about the betterment of the country. It's about the betterment of themselves, right? It's about their own wealth. It's about their own power. It's about their own control. It's about their own influence. And that's what it is about, okay? That's what it's about. And the irony here is that this is no different than the ideologies that they claim that they're fighting against. Like, for example, when you talk about white ethno-nationalism, okay? And this idea that, hey, you know, America should be a white-only country and white people should be in all the positions of power. They should control everything. This is just the opposite side of the coin, what these people believe in. People like Ana Navarro and others, okay? A country where you have less white power, right? And that the dominant powers are not white, right? So again, it's really two sides of the same coin, and that's what they don't realize. Meritocracy cuts through all of that. Meritocracy says, hey, I don't care what your skin color is, what your race is, who you like to sleep with, whether or not you like your genitalia. If you're the best person for the job, you're going to get the job. Now, does it always work out that way every single time? No. But the idea is that, hey, let's go ahead and just take out race. Let's take out sex. Let's take out all these other factors, okay, and not worry about that. Let's just focus on the best person for the job regardless of all that, right? But again, they don't want to compete on that playing field. They don't want to compete on that playing field, okay? Because they're fighting for special rights and privileges, right? That's what they're fighting for, okay? They already got equal rights. What they really want, again, is special rights and privileges that put white people at a disadvantage, mainly white males at a disadvantage. That's what they really want, okay?
One of the criticisms against DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion, all great in theory, but the DEI programs have not accomplished things. They've been a bureaucracy of money suck that have not gotten anywhere. When you say people are threatened, what do you think the removal of DEI is going to do to those people? Because a lot of this is...
I can tell you that, because the removal of DEI actually at this point in time...
They're not going to fire people.
Yeah, they wouldn't fire
the
people
departments of DEI.
Well, they're not only going to
put them on paid leave.
They put
the DEI people.
officers.
But what I'm saying is all the people that work.
But they also stopped this thing, these ridiculous, what are you call them? The executive orders. What they are doing is also eliminating the protections for discrimination in awarding government contracts. And to be clear, that is going to hurt women. That is going to hurt.
But I believe in this.
Yeah, so again, according to Sunny Holston, right, Trump is eliminating the protections against discrimination by not allowing discrimination, right? You guys see how this works, okay? You guys see the mental gymnastics that these people jump through in order to justify racism and discrimination? It's amazing, absolutely amazing.
spirit of this, which is DEI
has action that supports it. The
University of
staff support
Michigan,
that.
$85 million in a 5-year DEI plan. The Black Student Union said $85 million was spent, and yet Black students' experience on campus has hardly improved, and enrollment has gone down. So that's one example of saying
Harvard
that
Law School, the
it's not
enrollment of
just a
Black students
criticism
have
of
gone down.
diversity. It's a criticism of the programs being effective. And the one thing I will say that is,
The
as we
stats show
push
that they're very
DEI,
effective.
that's not what I'm reading. But the point here is that I would also say this all started in colleges and the turning over of affirmative action. I would ask that they immediately address legacy admissions as well. Because if we're talking about the equal opportunity, we need to get rid of legacy admissions.
Yeah, they always bring up the legacy admission thing. And I think they should get rid of that as well, too. Okay? But they only bring that up in response to the affirmative action stuff, right? They don't really care that much about the legacy admission stuff because, I mean, let's be real. A lot of these people, again, they're a part of the bourgeoisie class. This stuff doesn't really affect anybody in real life, okay? The DEI stuff, again, this is for the bourgeoisie, right? For these people, okay? The elites, okay? Or the elitists. Regular, everyday, normal people, it doesn't affect us, okay?
Does not.
But the reason why they're not really that passionate about legacy admissions is because they benefit from legacy admissions. So they throw out the whole legacy admissions thing as a response to, oh, well, we should get rid of that too, right? If you guys will get rid of affirmative action. And it's like, okay, well, you're not really that passionate about it. You're just saying it. Regardless, though, what Sarah is bringing up here is the fact that DEI is a scam, right? That's what she's.
Yeah, it's definitely a scam. It's, again, with the race conversation, bottom line, at the end of the day, it just really does not mean anything. And on this particular panel right here, all these ladies are discussing this, whether they're pro or con against DEI or whatever. It definitely does not affect them because all of them are millionaires. All of them. This lady right here, always hollering race, and she's a mixed lady, married to a white man. Love who you love, don't have no problem with that, but she's always coming out here defending whatever it is to be a victim of things. Oh yeah, and her 10-room mansion in New York. I'll say that again. A 10-room mansion in New York. Now, a little bit of context and the reason why I say that. You could get a 400 square foot apartment in New York, and you're gonna pay $2,600 minimum a month. This lady is crying victimhood and always talking about race and all this when she lives in a 10-room mansion in New York. If that doesn't point to how disingenuous these people are, I don't know what does. Because like he just said, most of this shit that they're talking about doesn't affect everyday people. You go put in a job application, you fit the employer's requirements, they have the position open, you interview, you're gonna get it. Race, it don't matter. It does not matter with everyday people, because you're applying for the job. The person that interviewing you is an everyday person. They have a need fulfilled. You think they're gonna cut their own throat by not hiring you if you qualify and fit the needs of what that business requires? Now they're putting their own job in jeopardy. Just doesn't make sense in everyday life. But this is how these people make their money, by keeping people divided, keeping this race thing going and all this type of stuff. So if you're on Facebook, just like the video. You can go check out some other videos over there on YouTube, Mr. Info 5000. Peace.